especially because this will go in the membership area. So yeah, if you feel free to
Sure.
share slides, especially if you have slides on like as it pertains to insurance for Amazon. That's always really
Absolutely.
helpful.
So what we'll do is, so my VP of growth was meant to be here today. He had some slides which could go into the membership area. His father-in-law has had his third heart attack, and so he's in the hospital. So apologies. But you know, if you don't get the VP, you get the CEO, right? So
Yeah, I love it.
yes.
Cool.
So
Well, we're broadcasting our other platforms now, so let's go ahead and officially begin. And Rohit, we'll hand it over to you. Thanks.
thank you so much. So Joey and Jamie, I just wanted to, and to all your members. So my background is I'm an e-commerce guy. I've had 5 brands, collectively doing about 35 odd million a year in sales on Amazon. And I've sold them to private equity firms. I've sold them to Amazon aggregators, and I've sold them to strategic buyers, all in the last 3 years. So I've ridden the wave of the big exits and also on the way out as well. So with that being said, the reason I sold my brands was to focus entirely on Surefoam. Uh, I'm sure a lot of you have Amazon brands that have crossed $10,000 in sales in any one month. Once you get to that point, $10,000 is a threshold. And a bit of an insider tip, Amazon is dropping that again to $5,000 in any one month as the threshold. Beyond that, you must have general liability insurance. Amazon makes it mandatory. If you don't have it, you're liable to suspension. You're liable to, even if it's a partial suspension, which may last, 30, 60, 90 days before you get insurance. Now, the big problem with getting insurance is most insurers do not want to cover products made in China or private label products. Most insurers, right? The ones that do are considered specialty insurers. To add to that, Amazon's requirements for insurance are extremely painful, and most insurers don't comply with that. With anything Amazon, it is painful, right? So case in point, with one of my brands, we were looking to do $24 million in sales in 1 year. The insurance companies require you to project your sales for the next 12 months, right? This figure is 100% of the time incorrect. So you could be off by, 5% at best, or 50% at worst. So the year that I was looking to do 24 million in sales, I had a suspension event happen on Amazon. It took me about 5 months to resolve. And I ended the year with 9 million in sales instead. Now that year, I paid $75,000 for liability insurance. So I went back to the insurer and I said, I didn't hit 24 million. I did 9. Can I have a refund, please? Because insurance is priced based on the projected number that you give them, and also what product you sell and where it's made. So they said, it's not our fault. You didn't hit your projections. No refund. And that really pissed me off. And so with that, I said, well, I can do this better than you. And so I started a Surefoam. We are not a broker. Surefoam is the underwriter of risk. So it's completely different from any other brokers that you might have seen in the past who go to multiple insurance companies. But at Assureful, we have built a monthly billed, usage-based, Amazon-compliant liability insurance product, right? So this is based on your last 30 days of actual sales. You're no longer having to project either over or under. And let's say you're going to do, 100K in sales. If you do $110,000 in sales instead, the last $10,000 is uninsured, which means when a claim comes through, and claims do come very often, even if it's frivolous, claims come through. The last $10,000 leaves you open to exposure. Typically, we see on average claims be, $2, $3, $400,000, right? Your product injured me. It destroyed, there was a short circuit and it destroyed my wiring in the house. It set fire to something. I got burnt. My child was, was scalded by it. Whatever the product is, people come up with all kinds of crazy reasons to make a claim against your product because the purchaser is not thinking about you, the small business, the small third-party seller. They're thinking, this is an opportunity for me to go after the multi-billion-dollar Amazon. Amazon doesn't care. Amazon's like, well, no, not us. That's the third-party seller. Go after them. And so, we've had claims come through for somebody who was selling aloe vera gel, and the customer burnt themselves on a space heater, applied the aloe vera gel, which is not the intended purpose, claimed they were infected, and sued for $1 million, right? Sued the aloe vera gel company for $1 million, who was our insured. So people just come up with these things and just fighting it. It is not on the buyer. The proof of burden is not on the buyer when they're making a claim. So they will go to Amazon and Amazon will pressurize you in a couple of ways. Number one, they will suspend your listings. Number two, they will delist you until this is resolved. And number three, Amazon says they will provide your information, which is available on your seller account, to the seller, to the buyer. The burden of proof only comes about when it goes to court. In most cases, it doesn't go to court because insurers don't want to spend the money to go to court. It's very expensive. So typically, you'll just settle, right, to a certain extent, unless it's really frivolous. And the settlements, in the case of the aloe vera gel company, it was a $60,000 settlement, right? So it's still $60,000 that could crush you could crush a lot of people to make a settlement, plus legal fees, which was another $130,000. So all in about $200,000 just to settle that. You don't take it to court very often. At that point, the burden of proof is on the buyer, but not very often. So coming back to this, what the insurance does is not only indemnifies and protects you as a third-party seller, but also Amazon, right? And that's what Amazon wants. And it's not just Amazon. Everybody wants it. Walmart wants it. Any retailer, Target, Buc-ee's, H-E-B, it doesn't matter, right? Everyone wants it before you start selling in most cases. But with Amazon specifically and Walmart.com, they have thresholds. So insurance, getting the right insurance, working with someone who understands e-commerce, right? So I told you about what happens if you underproject and you do 110,000 instead of 100K. But if you've done, say, 75,000, but you've projected you do 100K, then you've overpaid for insurance. So finding the balance is extremely hard, especially for small and medium businesses, and which is why we created a shortfall, which is, again, a monthly billed based on actual sales. And premiums are as low as $26 a month. So it's a no-brainer, really. You only pay for insurance based on your actual sales. So if your sales go up, your premium goes up. If your sales comes down for whatever reason, your premium comes down. And also, we are monthly billed. So other insurers want you to pay annually in advance upfront. Now, for me, I would rather be spending that money to go and buy more inventory or joining a mastermind group or something like that. I wouldn't want to be paying for insurance and not even knowing whether I'm going to have the use of it at some point. So that's where sort of the shortfall difference comes in, and why I'd said, as an e-commerce business, what is the biggest pain point that I felt, especially with Amazon's compliance, etc., and that was insurance. And so that's what we've done. Also to add here, most insurers reject 60%, 45 to 60% of all third-party sellers. We at Assureful are covering 95% of all products sold on Amazon, including private label, including products made in China, which are imported products, right, in general, and also supplements, etc. Sorry, I've just had this really bad cough. Joey, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit about, so you started off saying that, and I know this is selling, it's like Amazon does want you to have it right when you hit 10,000 in sales, but if you come out with a product and you mentioned supplements or a topical like the aloe vera gel, what do you recommend then? Is it get insurance before you launch, maybe wait till you have like a month worth of sales?
Yeah, so our recommendation always is have a month worth of sales so that you're able to accurately price your insurance, right? But very often you probably are selling 2 or 3 or 5 units in the first month. You're not selling thousands. So I will just respond to that, Angela. It's a great question. So the 2, 3, 5 units, that's fine. Wait a month, buy insurance at that point after the first month, and try and see whether you can get a retroactive date, which is essentially it's dated from when you first started selling, right? So that works better than just having insurance before you go live, because before you go live, everything is a finger in the air, right? What your projections are, even what products you're going to sell. And to answer your question, is general liability the same? Yes and no, and I'll tell you why. So product liability insurance, so general liability covers a lot of things. And it covers a lot of things that most e-commerce businesses don't even use. So although it may be called product liability insurance, and that's the cover you need, it will come in the wrapper of general liability with a bunch of other things in it. So you might have acquired non-owned auto in it, which is if you rent a car while driving to meet a supplier, for example, that's covered. Nobody ever uses that, right? So these sorts of products, so that's part of the BOP package, business owners policy package insurance. They're covering your office space. A lot of us work from home, right? You don't need a physical premises, and that covers slips, trips, and falls in your offices. I'm not sure how many of you have a third-party office somewhere else that covers that, not for your employees and not for yourself, but for visitors to your office. So there's a bunch of things that are added into a standard general liability BOP packaged policy, which just inflates the cost of it, but you're never going to use it. And nobody actually, well, the insurer knows and the broker knows, but you don't know what you're buying and what you can or cannot claim on. And I hated that, right? I hated being ripped off by the brokers and being ripped off by the insurers, being given limits that I didn't need, being given add-ons that I didn't need or would never ever use. And so what we do is we do it the other way around. We focus on what Amazon wants, which is product liability insurance. It's called products and completed operations, medical expenses associated with that. And then we do add-ons on a case-by-case basis. So if you have, a warehouse or a commercial office or some form of premises, then we'd add on, premises endorsement that goes along with it, which will increase the cost. But we don't do it as standard to rip people off, right? We focus on what they need and then do add-ons to it. So, yeah, that's what we do. And that's the key difference. There's another difference here, which a lot of people aren't aware of, and that's the distinction between occurrence insurance and claims-made insurance. Now, Amazon wants occurrence insurance policies. And if you'd like me to explain that, I could, but I don't know if it's becoming a bit too boring. But let me know if you
I want to know.
say yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Explain it.
Okay. So, say for example, you're a customer of a shortfall, right? And let's take arbitrary dates. The 16th of January, 2023 to the 16th of January, 2024. Now, an occurrence product, insurance product, is when, say, for example, you're selling, I don't know, power banks, right? You're selling power banks and a power bank blows up somewhere, right? And somebody was injured because the lithium-ion battery exploded. Now, and say on the 16th of January 2024, you decided to stop being an Assureful customer and instead went to Travelers Insurance Company. So when did the power bank explode? Did the power bank explode between the 16th of January 2023 and the 16th of January 2024? Yes. In that case, 20 years later, if somebody were to come up and say, there was a power bank that exploded in that period, it took me 20 years to go through rehab, doctors, multiple skin grafts, surgery, and then meet an attorney, and then file suit, etc. 20 years later, a shortfall will still pay for it. That's occurrence. Were you a customer or an insured of a shortfalls when the incident happened, when it occurred, right? That's one type of insurance. And it could be 20 years, it could be 50 years, it doesn't matter. In some cases, we're seeing things, well, not us, but we're backed 100% by Lloyd's of London. So we're a part of the 350-year-old insurance company, Lloyd's of London. And so we're seeing stuff coming back from 200 years ago, right? About sunken ships and, lost treasure, etc. So occurrence is kind of forever. Claims made, on the other hand, is when did the claim come in? Were you a customer of Assurefalls when the claim came in? If yes, we will cover it. If not, we would not. So, claims made is typically used for riskier products, right? So if you're selling pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, certain skincare products, certain critical automotive components, baby products, etc. In those instances, claims made will be used. That's the only way to keep the product cheap enough for a customer. So Amazon allows claims made only in those specific scenarios. And you can see that within Seller Central, there's the business insurance section. What Amazon's insurance requirements are, they make it very clear. Alternatively, just work with someone who already has compliant products. We have both an occurrence and a claims made product. So that kind of improves things for everyone all around. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Can you kind of talk through those categories again with like the claims made? Because when I hear
Sure.
you say that, it seems like if you have a topical or I don't know, you're the expert, but like a electrical component, then you might not want to wait till the $10,000 a month threshold, and you might want to
No,
take initiative earlier.
absolutely. Anything that is, I mean, you look at your own product and think of how many ways it could injure someone or destroy property, right? I mean, we have people who do hair dryers, and the hair dryer has a short circuit or causes an electrical fire or just overheats and destroys somebody's, like causes a stain on somebody's dressing table. In that instance, the insurance is still on the line for that, right? So, and the kind of claims that come for a while, right? So, just think of anything that you sell, and the dumbest person using your product and injuring themselves or destroying property, the worst case scenario always comes true, which is so crazy, but it does. So it makes sense to have insurance backing you up, and also an insurer that is not looking to avoid paying claims or is dragging the process out or is causing additional stress, because it's really stressful when something like this comes up. You know, you suddenly get served and somebody rings your doorbell and says, you know, are you Rhonda? Yes, you've been served. You're like, oh my God, what's this? Right? Um, before you sell the product, how is the cost of insurance determined? Okay, great question. So most insurers will not support you or tell you what it's going to cost beforehand. What we can do as a shortfall is if you reach out to us and say, I'm thinking about selling, power banks. Would you Sorry, I have a bit of a cold thing going on. So we will support, we will tell you what you could expect to be. It won't be accurate, it'll be an indicative, but we'll kind of give you a frame of reference, right? Whether you would even get support for it. So if you're selling teethers, baby teethers, 9 times out of 10, you will not get insurance. So there are certain products that you may want to avoid because you won't get insurance. So if you build a business on a product that you can't even insure, or if you're insuring it, the premiums are going to cost more than what you're making. We've seen something which was like a baby hammock with plastic hooks, and the packaging had recommendations saying could be put up to 10 feet off the ground with plastic hooks. Yeah, I mean, it's because it came with a metal stand thing which went up to 10 feet up off the ground. But anyway, so the point is that is an uninsurable product. And if you do insure it, it'll cost tens of thousands of dollars on tens of thousands of dollars of sales. Right? So it doesn't
Um,
make sense.
No, and that's interesting. So, before you even launch a product, is it a good idea to run it past whoever you might want to do
Oh,
insurance with?
yes. Yeah. I mean, we're not going to
Hmm.
charge you anything for it. And you're not going to buy insurance unless you want to. Um, but you could just, check in with us and say, do you want insurance? Sorry, will you cover this? And if so, what are the kind of indicative rates that we might see for it?
Yeah, all right. That's really great information.
Yeah, so
Um,
just check in with us. I mean, go to the website to contact us, and typically we respond within 24 hours. I mean, there's a ton of volume that comes through, um, and again, I want to say, that most of our customers are very, very large e-commerce businesses. That are selling
mhm.
200-300 million dollars on Amazon alone. Well, e-commerce, so Amazon and their own Shopify stores. But our objective here is not just the large businesses. Our objective is to support the entrepreneur who's starting off with $100 in sales, who's trying to build a $300 million business. And so
Mhm.
we're supporting businesses all the way through with whatever we can do to support. Are there any regulatory or licensing issues? So we're not in the UK. I'm in the UK. Assureful is a nationally licensed insurance provider. So we're licensed in all 50 states and DC. We're not licensed in Puerto Rico, Guam, the Virgin Islands, and the Mariana Islands. So we won't do it if your business is headquartered in those states or provinces. I'm in the UK, not for very long, looking to move to Texas as well. But
Ah,
Assureful is based in the US, and as of now, we're only covering US businesses, and we're nationally licensed. Having said that, hopefully in Q2 and Q3, we'll be covering Hong Kong businesses as well, and UK businesses, and Canada in Q4. We're in an expansion path. Does that
very
make
cool.
sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I think there's some really good information. I love hearing the stories and, for the sake of everybody's time, and this is like to learn, but yeah, I'm really into hearing the stories. So we'll have to have you share some more stories, maybe on a different
Sure.
platform.
So we were
But this
thinking
is
about
very
doing like a
helpful.
story series, right? Like an anonymized story series, but we didn't want it to
Yeah.
be sort of scare tactics, right? There's an element to humor there. So a broker does this thing where she talks about it's called just the tip, and someone was selling mandolins, right? Like those slicers, and
Mhm.
somebody just took
Mm,
the tip of their finger, and that turned into $1 million lawsuit, which was extremely
yeah.
expensive. So, um, insurance extremely important, not just for Amazon
Yeah.
and compliance, but for your protecting what you built, your business.
Yeah, I agree. It's really insightful depending on what you sell to check in. But can you just so it is like you bring up fear and I will say, I've been selling for a long time. I've had insurance and I did wait with my brands until I hit the 10,000 mark and Amazon requested it before getting insurance. I did sell an electrical component and there was some risk and I didn't have the insurance and I knock on wood have not had I've had incidences happen but nothing with like a big claim against me. So
Or,
just talk a little bit about like the commonality of claims. I know the bigger you get, like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, more money, more problems.
or it's actually the inverse as well, right? So the smaller you are, um, the more comes. This is the Amazon effect, right? So the
Mhm.
claimant, the buyer is actually not thinking about Joey and her business. They're saying it's Amazon. right? And we're going after Amazon. They don't know about you sat in the background as a third-party seller. And so everywhere you look, there are billboards saying, got injured, call, Robert Singleton and Krasner, right? I just read off some names from the list, I'm sorry. But, three people stood like that saying, we'll protect you, we fight for you, because they're doing it for free, right? It costs somebody nothing to go to a personal injury attorney. The personal injury attorney tries to settle with people like us, and they take 40-50% of the settlement amount. That's what they do. So it's sort of a no-win, no-fee approach. And so the way it works is Amazon is the target, right? So the law firm or even the buyer themselves, when they're complaining to you, they're thinking it's Amazon that they're dealing with, and then they're going to sue Amazon and get a boatload of cash, which Amazon is able to do because it's Amazon. But excuse me, but that's not the case. I mean, 62% of all sales on Amazon are third-party sellers, which the law firms don't really care about because they know they'll win because Amazon looks to settle every single time. And they'll pressure you to settle every single time. So the threshold amount also keeps changing, right? So when Amazon first started requiring it, they wanted $1 million in sales in the trailing 12-month period. Then they dropped it to $100,000 in sales in trailing 12 months. Then it was $5,000 for 3 consecutive months. Today it's $10,000 in any 1 month, and that could be Black Friday, Prime Day, whatever spike you have in sales. If you have seasonality with your product, if you're selling, as an example, wireless speakers, summer sales are going to be much higher than winter sales, etc. They don't care. Now they're dropping that to $5,000, with the eventual goal being that within the next 5 years, having everybody have insurance before they come onto Amazon. The same way that Target does it, Home Depot, any retailer requires insurance before you start selling at the retailer. And that's where Amazon is looking to get to. But they're not trying to make it burdensome for the small seller doing a side hustle, starting out, which is why they're being cautious about it. But they'll keep dropping the threshold, right? So, and Walmart.com is kind of the same as well. Today they are, if you're trending to do $100,000 in sales, which typically is $8,300 for 2 or 3 months, then you must have insurance. And all the insurance companies are out to rip you off, charging you annually in advance, asking you to project your sales, asking you to tell them what you're going to sell before, like for the rest of the year. So if you see an opportunity, say I'm selling, power banks, and I decide to start selling USB-C cables, I can't do that without informing my insurer in advance. Otherwise, it's uninsured. So, yeah, we've tried to fix all of those problems essentially, while not being a broker. So we pass on the broker commissions, the fees, all of that stuff onto the customer. So I think we're 42%, on average, 42% cheaper than the other insurers, other A-rated insurers.
Yeah, very cool. That's some really interesting and insightful information. I definitely learned some stuff. Well, if there's any questions, please put them in the chat.
People don't want to think about insurance. It's kind of boring, but honestly, I mean, I'm an e-commerce business owner. I was myself, and I had to learn insurance and build a team around me of underwriters and actuaries and compliance people. And I was able to do that because I was fortunate enough to sell brands. But it's a boring topic when you start thinking about it originally, but then when you dive into the details, it is so much fun. So I'm sorry if this came across as a bit boring to start with, but it is a lot of fun at some point.
Oh, I really like the stories. So if you do start something where you're sharing stories, yeah, they're really interesting. But we won't get into too many of them today. But thank you for sharing some of those.
Thank you. Angela has a question. Yes, we do. So our product covers, so in response to your question number one, which is, are we just Amazon compliant and are we only covering your Amazon sales? No, we're covering 100% of your sales globally. So if you're selling, on Amazon, but you also are selling through your friend's boutique, yes, we're covering that as well. So that's there. And then we distinguish Amazon sellers. Honestly, that's an SEO thing. So it's the same product, but from an SEO standpoint, having Amazon sellers and e-commerce insurance, so it's not a clear distinction as such, right? It's the same product offered, but it's an SEO thing with the distinction. Does that answer your question, Angela? Deborah, thank you. Great. I love the reactions. Have you guys tried the reactions? They're so good. Excellent. Are there any other questions? How can we connect? Thank you so much, Laurie. If you need to get a quote, you can just go onto assureful.com and click get a quote. There's a bit of a form to fill out. And either one of my guys, Alex, is in Texas, or Keaton, who's in Seattle. Thank you so much. They will get in touch, or Jared, Michigan. I mean, we've got people who will get in touch with you, or you can schedule a call directly onto their calendar and they'll walk you through it to make sure that we pride ourselves on being the most cost effective, right? So, yeah, we'll walk you through it. Just go onto the website. Thank you so much. I'm really pleased. Is there anything else? Any other questions? No?
Good stuff, Rohit.
Great.
Yeah, a lot of good questions and good insight to, yeah, I mean, obviously take your business seriously. Don't get yourself into trouble. And,
Yes.
these type of building blocks that have in place to treat yourself, like I said, like the real business that it is.
It is. It is a real business. I mean, even if you're doing $100 a month today, you have a real business there, and it's something to protect because there's inherent value to it. I know because I've sold 5 of them by generating value in your business. And you got to protect you have home insurance. Why wouldn't you have insurance protecting your business? So it just makes sense. Great stuff. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. And yeah, if you need to get in touch with me, it's rohit@assureful.com, or just go on assureful.com. My team is extremely helpful. We take customer service and very seriously, very, very seriously. So yeah, please get in touch. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. That was great. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.